Okay, so just to get everybody on the same page, PureLink has been around for over 20 years, innovating a lot of the solutions and technologies that are still used today, everywhere from the first to implement EDID management to multiple HDCP key management, world's first fiber extenders, and so on. So PureLink has a lot of industry firsts. Today we'll be going over our USB solutions, and if you guys have any questions during the session, just go ahead and shout those out. All right, I usually do a PowerPoint, which I do have, but we've got this pretty little catalog that actually does a really great job that I'm gonna use for today, and I'm going to send this to everybody at the end. Catalog goes over kind of an introduction to USB-C and how it's become really at the forefront of a lot of applications over the past year or more. You've noticed it's been creeping in, and now it's definitely a major player in connectivity in the AV world. So that's kind of what we go over there. Just a little bit about some of the benefits of USB-C, which we'll skip for today. And then we'll look at all the different kind of products that we have lined up. All right, so I'm going to go at a pretty good pace here, but feel free to, if I'm going too fast, just write me your questions and we'll stop. Okay. So the first one up we're going to take a look at is our 4K 60 8-in 2-out seamless presentation switcher. The model number is PS820S, and this has two scaling engines in it for the two output buses, so they scale separately, which means you could set one output to 4K 60, the other to 1080p 60 or 30 or 24. So you got those two independent output bus scalers. On the inputs, which are all on the left side there, you'll see the very first input is an RJ45 connector. That is an HDBaseT input, and the product includes the HDBaseT transmitter that connects to that port. So that's input 1. Then inputs 2 through 5, those are HDMI 2.0 inputs, and you'll notice stereo balanced audio embedding capability on the first 4 inputs. The 6th input is a VGA with 3.5 millimeter audio insertion. The 7th input is DisplayPort, and the 8th input is USB-C. On the output section, we've got 2 audio de-embed stereo balanced with SPDIF optical outputs. So each output bus has its own audio output de-embedding capability. There are a number of control options on here. RS-232 relay control. It is possible to actually program the unit for when it turns on or turns off to send commands that you specify and enter into the programming web UI of this switch to deal with projector screens or projectors or displays turning off and on and so on. It also can pass or send CEC on-off controls when the switch is turned off or on. The switch can be controlled via RS-232 or LAN, and we provide some modules for our own Icon control system as well as QSYS and Crestron, but the API is quite easy, so it's very simple to utilize our commands in any control automation system. Okay, so this is a really great product for a number of different applications, anywhere from boardrooms, conference rooms, auditoriums, hotel AV, staging and rental. I don't know if anyone else has ever used a Folsom HD Image Pro, but I spent many hours out in staging rental using that kind of product. So this does really exactly the same thing, but much more future proofed with the connectivities of USB-C and DisplayPort and HDMI. The HDBaseT transmitter and receiver, those are 5-play. So you can extend and use the POC. These are powered from the main switch body. So that's very feature rich, those two HDBaseT pieces, and the remote control, of course, is an option in systems where you might not have a third-party control automation system. Okay, we move on to our next one. The HWCE-IV, this is a 4K60 wall plate extender, but it has switching on the wall plate. You've got an HDMI input and a USB-C input that you can switch, but there's also on the receiver, there's a local HDMI input. So it's actually 3 inputs on the product, 2 on the wall plate, 1 on the local receiver by the display. This also offers charging capability as well. And 328 feet of extension over Cat6a between the wall plate, single gang, to the receiver, which is nice small footprint, by the way. You see it's really pretty flat, so that makes it easy to install behind displays and so on. Okay, next up is our HWCE-100, the 2-input extender switcher system, 320 feet, 100-meter extension. This has 1 USB-C input with charging and HDMI in, and you've got a selector on the front panel. There is actually also API commands available, so you can control this from API commands as well. You can do audio volume changes and mute, unmute through those API commands. All right, next up is our collaboration hub. This is 8 inputs, 1 output with a mirrored output. So you got 2 outputs, but they're mirrored, and its claim to fame is also multi-view, so I can actually show all 8 sources simultaneously. So I can do anywhere from 1 source up to 8 sources on the output screen. It's also a BYOD device, so I can connect iPhones and Android phones, MacBooks and Windows books using this dongle. You see, you can do up to 4 dongles synchronized to the main switch, and that is a USB-C connector on that dongle, but it also has an option to do USB-A. So either way, you can use the dongle on USB-A or USB-C devices. So you do have input selections of hard inputs on the front, and you'll see I've got HDMI in, VGA in, USB-C in. And when somebody activates any of the dongles, it automatically adds it to the screen. If it's a multi-view or if it's a single view, it'll switch from the previous screen to the dongle. And if I'm connecting with an iPhone or an Android phone, it behaves the same way as I just described. It's got a very rich full API command set, so you can do layouts of multi-view or single images, switching, you can mute the image. So it's got a lot of options that you would want to find in a huddle room, conference room, boardroom type space. And it would also be a great choice in staging rental or hotel AV as well. And, you know, I'm not going to leave out I know some of you do the judicial system installs, courtrooms and things like that. So this would be useful as well as the other products that I've shown you. Okay, next up in the USB-C world, we've got our auto tracking camera, soundbar, microphone, all in one. So really awesome piece of gear. The picture looks fantastic. The auto tracking, I think what you'll like on this is that it's a combination of digital zoom and pan, but also it has motorized panning. So you don't lose some of these all-in-one microphone soundbar cameras for conference rooms use only digital zoom, And so, if you're zooming into somebody way far down the conference room table and panning, you're giving up image quality. In our case, we move the camera so that it's pointed as close in the direction of who is speaking, and then we apply digital zoom and pan as a second step. So you get definitely a better picture here. And because of this, we only need to use one camera and one lens. So you get what you pay for. You get better quality optics as opposed to manufacturers who use multiple cameras and lenses to do the same thing. The output is HDMI, and of course you also have USB-C, and that USB-C connector between the camera and your laptop or desktop will carry the audio and video. And then you've got a remote control that allows you to call presets. If you want to move the camera manually, you can do that as well, and set and call those position presets from the remote control, and I can adjust volume and do muting and so on. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, I do have a question. Well, Andy, you're asking about, I assume, the Huddle cam. We specify this for a conference table up to 16 feet. So whatever the room size is, in relationship to that. Question from Robert about USB-C path. Which product is that question about? Okay, extenders. Yeah, so in the extenders that are HDBaseT 3.0, you're going to have uncompressed video from end to end. So we can go back over that in a moment. Okay, so speaking of which, here's our TAA compliant 100-meter USB 3.2 extender. So this is uncompressed USB 3.2 Gen 1 5 gigabit transport capability. So any signals that are within that data rate will be uncompressed. Anything beyond that, it would apply visually lossless compression. Okay, let me go back up just to check one thing here for Robert. This is 4K 60 HDBaseT 3.0, so there's no compression applied on the Q100 across the transport. And as you can see here, it says 4K 60 444 up to HDR10 plus. So it can do the full bandwidth of 4K 60 444 HDR10 plus. Same thing is true with the HWCE-IV. That's doing full bandwidth across the extension. Okay, so that is what is hot in the catalog right now. These products are available and shipping. You guys want to kick the tires on them, just request your product samples. Please try them out. We do have some other things that we'll be adding, but it's mostly cable solutions. So we're a couple of weeks out, so we don't have them in this catalog. But let me just finish up with the catalog here. At the end of it is a comparison chart of all the products that we just went over, just to kind of help you with your decision making. But of course, you can always contact us. And most importantly, you can order samples for test evaluation. There's nothing really better than having it in your lab and kicking the tires on it. So getting back to what's coming that I didn't go over, we're moments from launching several USB-C cable solutions. As most of you know, we don't really get into the commodity bloodbath type cables, so we're doing things like USB-C over CAT, just little dongle adapters that will let you send USB-C over like a 30-meter, approximately 100-foot distance. And then we'll have some 4K and 8K USB-C cables, mostly over fiber, because as you know, when you get into that kind of data rate, where you want to go distances you typically need in the applications that you all are accustomed to, that copper is not able to handle 18 gigabit or 50 gigabit signals. So we'll have those in fiber. There's my email address and my phone number. You can send me an email or call me if there's certain features you need or product types or something a little different than what we're offering, and we'll try and make it happen. All right, so thanks again for everybody's time. I'll stay on the line for questions. Please order some samples and try our stuff out. If you don't like it, just send it back within 30 days, and we will not give you any hassle in doing that.